You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Okay, we are still talking about connective tissue, specifically heart disease and connective tissue, the real cause of heart disease, the real cause of cardiovascular illness, which is most certainly not high cholesterol. Again, the cause of heart disease is not elevated blood cholesterol. This is stupid biochemistry, period. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. I just want to be very clear about that. There is high cholesterol. Obviously, there are cholesterol plaques, I should say, if you have stenosis or sclerosis in the heart, but the cholesterol is not the cause of the heart disease. This is dumb medicine. The real cause of heart disease, as we've been talking about for the last few weeks, is the same as the real cause of any degenerative issues, of any chronic degenerative diseases. The key word to understand is degeneration. Degenerative. The body's a regenerating system. When we have a degenerative disease, something's gone wrong. We're not regenerating, we're degenerating. We're breaking down. That's the cause of heart disease. That's the cause of all disease. Degeneration, not cholesterol. Degeneration. And that means, this is so powerful, that means that for prevention, for reversal, for healing, we don't need a medical model. We don't need medicine. It's not a medical concern. It's none of the doctor's business. It has nothing to do with the doctor. The real cause of disease is degeneration. This is not medical. Not medical, not medical, not medical. The real cause of heart disease, the real cause of any chronic disease is deterioration of the tissues, and there's nothing the medical model can do to prevent that. There's nothing a drug can do to correct deterioration of tissues. The deterioration of the tissues follows malnourishment, a lack of nutrients, deficiencies in oxygen, and toxicity. That's from a physical level. You can throw in emotional and mental strategies, or emotional and mental causes, and emotional and spiritual causes for that matter. You may have some mechanical trauma ultimately. Yes, that's true. And at that point, there may be some doctoring that's required. Once the mechanical trauma kicks in, yes, I understand there may be some surgical procedures or doctoring that may be required. But up until then, heart health, like the health of any other part of the body, is about the lifestyle choices we make. And you guys, that is powerful, powerful information. If you understand that, now we have control back over our health. If we understand that the lifestyle choices we make, the foods we eat or don't eat, the supplements we take, the exercise we do, the rest we get, and the amount of oxygen that gets into our system through correct respiration. That's what health is about. That is so powerful because it frees us from the hegemony, the tyranny of the medical model that says, we can fix you, we're going to fix you. You got to come to us, we're going to take care of you. That's where statin drugs come in. That's why we think it's okay to use statin drugs. I'm telling you, as a pharmacist, it never made sense to me how anybody could possibly dispense a prescription drug in the name of good health, how anybody could take a prescription drug in the name of good health. And this is true about all drugs, and it's true about statin drugs also. And I know statin drugs are not as powerful or not as toxic as others, but nonetheless, heart health and statin drugs have as much in common with each other as a fish does with a bicycle. That is to say, nothing. The bottom line, as always, with medication is you cannot drug your way to health. You cannot be better by taking a prescription drug. Now, you may get some you may mitigate or reduce the impact of side effects, yes, or of pain, the side effects of disease, pain especially. And I'm a big believer in having some pain pills in the medicine cabinet. Absolutely, I'm not Pollyannish about drugs. I understand there is a need for certain drugs. It's the chronic, long-term drugs, like statin drugs that you're going to be on for the rest of your life. Those are the problems. Even though they're not as toxic as other ones. They're still not great drugs, by the way. There's still a nasty side effect profile associated with statin drugs. As anybody who's taken them understands. If you're on a statin drug, you know that you don't feel as good. You know probably that you've got, you may have some muscle weakness. You may have some problems with memory. It can't help but affect these kinds of processes. Even if it's not as toxic as most, in the long term, statin drugs, because of their ability to suppress this vital compound cholesterol, they cannot come without some kind of side effect, even if you don't notice it. Ironically, While statin inhibition of cholesterol, which is super multifunctional and responsible for numerous aspects of biology and biochemistry, ironically, while statin drugs can create side effects, lots of side effects, even if you don't notice them, there are going to be some kind of effects in the body. There can't help but be. Ironically, the medical model is starting to suggest that because of this multifunctionality of cholesterol, we can use statin drugs for lots of things. This is the latest thing. It doesn't come from doctors necessarily, but it comes from the drug companies who are selling the statin drugs. Now they want to use the statin drugs for anti-inflammatories. They want to use the statin drugs to prevent or to reduce the effects of inflammatory disease. There's even talk that the statin drugs can be used to reduce cancer mortality. And because cholesterol is required for blood clotting, there are some medical researchers working for drug companies who are suggesting that you can use statin drugs to thin the blood. And all of this has to do with the multiple benefits, the multiple properties, biological properties, the multiple biological effects of cholesterol. I.e., that is, by suppressing cholesterol production, you can affect all these other systems in the body. Not a good idea. All right, I'm pharmacist Ben. My Truth Skin Health products. I'd like to hear from you guys if you've experienced any benefits from our cannabinoid product, our CBD product, Pure Hemp Technologies CBD product, up at brightsidehealth.com, where you will find bone broth protein, which, by the way, is a great source of heart-friendly amino acids. Bone broth in general is just a wonderful source of these kinds of amino acids, which is what we really need if we're dealing with cardiovascular disease, if we're dealing with connective tissue disease, and they do go hand in hand. It's not about lowering cholesterol. It's not about a statin drug. You cannot drug your way to health, period. And even though statin drugs are less toxic than others, they still have a side effect profile. Go to, just Google, or if you're on a statin drug, just ask the pharmacist for what's called the package insert. The package insert for Zocor, which is one of the best-selling statin drugs. The package insert will advise you that adverse reactions reported from Zocor include edema and swelling, abdominal pain, atrial fibrillation, constipation, gastritis, diabetes. That's a good one. How do you like that? You take your statin drug and you become a diabetic. That's a good thing, right? Myalgia, which means muscle pain, headaches, insomnia, vertigo, bronchitis, sinusitis, eczema, infections, including urinary tract infections. These are all adverse reactions that are reported from taking Zocor. And by the way, when you get an adverse reaction, it's not like it's an on-off switch. It gradually develops. So just because you don't notice that you got a heart problem, or you don't notice you have a digestive problem, or you don't notice that you're having a muscle problem or a central nervous system problem like headaches, just because you don't notice it doesn't mean you're not on the way to getting them. It doesn't mean that the body's not beginning to suffer from the effects of the adverse reaction, suffer from the effects that will lead to the adverse reaction, even if you don't notice it. You can't get better from a drug. You can only get worse. I'm sorry. Let me say that again. That is so powerful. You can't get better from a drug. You can only get worse. How this became a go-to strategy for healing the body is just beyond me, although it probably has something to do with our ignorance of how the human body worked 200, 300, 400 years ago when the drug theory was first developed. The drug theory was first developed in the 1500s. A guy named Paracelsus was one of the first guys to develop this idea that you could modify biochemistry with drugs. Back then it was plants, but still, nonetheless, it's drugs. Connective tissue, which is what we're talking about here, connective tissue building, on the other hand, is a powerful strategy for protecting the heart. Connective tissue building is a powerful strategy for preventing heart disease. Connective tissue building is a powerful strategy for anti-aging. It's a powerful strategy for health. Connective tissue building, unlike pharmacotherapy, builds the body, helps the body regenerate. It doesn't make the body work harder, which is what a drug does. It makes the body work less on many fronts. Glucosamine, hyaluronic acid, collagen, gelatin, all of these have natural, non-toxic heart health, blood health properties, especially when it comes to improving the flow of blood. In fact, these substances improve the flow of water. it turns out that these kinds of substances actually have an ability to structure water. We'll talk about structured water here in a little bit. Structured water is powerful stuff when it comes to healing and when it comes to cardiovascular health. And you can use these substances to promote the formation of structured water. Polysaccharides, complex sugars that is, that are found in algae, found in longevity products like the Fucoid Z, which is one of the all-time great longevity products. And by the way, doctors will actually tell you not to use glucosamine, not to use Fucoid, and not to use polysaccharides because of their blood-thinning effects when you're on Coumadin or warfarin or Pradaxa. They're afraid you might thin the blood too much. Well, seems to me like if you're concerned that glucosamine is going to thin the blood and maybe thin your blood too much if you're on Coumadin, maybe you should just reduce the dose of your Coumadin. Maybe you should just not even use the Coumadin and use glucosamine instead. Seems more logical to me, especially considering the toxic profile of these artificial blood-thinning drugs. There's a drug called heparin, which is a standard blood thinner that you will get after you have surgery. Heparin is used to keep the blood circulating. After you have surgery, your blood will clot. Why? Because a surgical procedure represents a major, major, major trauma and emergency to the body. There's no benign surgeries. People drop dead in surgery all the time. People die in surgery all the time. It's just one of the risks of surgery, even something just that could be a mild surgery. It could be something like just having your gallbladder taken out. There's really no mild surgeries. In any case, after a surgical procedure, your blood tends to clot. They give you heparin. What do you think heparin is? Heparin is a polysaccharide. Heparin is very similar. It's like glucosamine. Heparin is a different form of glucosamine, similar to glucosamine. It's all in the same chemical family. Same with high hyaluronic acid. It's all part of the same chemical family. They all help thin the blood. Excuse me. Heparin doesn't just thin the blood, it's also an anti-inflammatory. Reading from the textbook of biochemistry, heparin is an anticoagulant, that is a blood thinner, that prevents excessive fiber formation during inflammatory and allergic reactions. In other words, heparin is not just a blood thinner, it's a blood anti-inflammatory. And remember, heparin is similar to glucosamine. They're not just blood thinners, they're blood anti-inflammatories. The connective tissue the blood is connective tissue. Doctors are mystified. The medical model cannot understand why connective tissue disease is linked to heart disease. Well, first of all, the blood is connective tissue. Second of all, the heart is hanging on a framework, a scaffolding of connective tissue. Connective tissue, when we talk about dirty blood, which is really the underlying cause of disease, is dirty blood or toxemia, as it's been called. Dirty blood is a connective tissue problem because the blood is connective tissue. It's inflamed, clogged connective tissue, the connective tissue called the blood. This is so important, you guys, because it puts the control of our health back into our life, into our lives, into our lifestyle. We now have control over our health when we understand that our diseases are about about our tissues, about how our tissues are responding or not responding to the ups and downs, the stresses of life. There is a fascinating relationship, by the way, between substances like collagen and glucosamine and high hyaluronic acid and algae and polysaccharides and something called chitin or chitosan. Chitin is a substance that's found in insect shells and crustacean shells. Chitosan is a tweaked version of chitin, and these substances are very similar, natural substances are very similar to glucosamine and to all of these other proteoglycans, protein sugar complexes that we've been talking about. And they also, interestingly, are involved in the movement and the flow of fluids and water. Yes, chitin, chitosan, glucosamine, collagen, gelatin, high hyaluronic acid, all of these are not only important for keeping blood thin and they don't have anti-inflammatory properties, they're also important for the movement and the structuring of water. We'll talk about that when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. Got lots here I want to talk about. I want to talk about coenzyme Q10 tomorrow. Coenzyme Q10 is derived from the same biochemical process that cholesterol is derived from. So suppression of cholesterol production by statin drugs will also suppress your levels of coenzyme Q10, which is super duper important, not just for the heart, although there's almost twice as much coenzyme Q10 found in the heart as there is in the kidney, which actually is the second important organ that's for coenzyme Q10. All cells depend on coenzyme Q10 for energy, so coenzyme Q10 is going to help various parts of the body. Suppression of statin drugs are notorious for suppressing coenzyme Q10 levels. We will talk about that tomorrow on the bright side. This is from the Journal of Science and Translational Medicine. Anticoagulants, that is blood thinners to reduce stroke risk, may increase incidence of heart attacks. How do you like that? Medical researchers at the Ludwig Maximilian University of Munich have discovered a new class of anticoagulants designed to reduce the risk of strokes can increase the risks of heart attacks. Again, going to show you, you cannot take a drug and not expect to get toxicity or side effects. If you want to thin your blood, there's lots of ways to thin the blood. For one thing, use glucosamine. Glucosamine and collagen and high hyaluronic acid thin the blood by various mechanisms, but one of the ways they do it is by structuring water. This is so fascinating. There's actually a fourth type of water. Most, from high school biology, you may remember, or high school chemistry, you may remember that there's three phases of water. There is water that's in ice, there's water that's in liquid, there's water that's in steam. Well, it turns out there's a fourth phase of water. And that fourth phase of water is known as colloidal water or crystal water, or more technically, as structured water. Dr. Gerald Pollack has written numerous books on this. We've got a bunch of YouTube videos on it. It turns out that structured water has a healing property. Structured water, or water is structured inside of blood vessels. The blood that flows through blood vessels is structured by the lining of the vessel. This gives the water a natural healing property. I should say the blood a natural healing property, but it has to flow. That's the important part of the blood. It must be in motion. It must flow. As we get older, our blood starts to sludge up. That's what dirty blood is really all about. It's blood that's sludging up. Using gelatin, using high hyaluronic acid, using your glucogel caps, using your Fucoid Z, eating algae and seaweeds, increasing the polysaccharide content of your foods by eating vegetables. All of these have wonderful blood thinning properties, and by thinning the blood and facilitating the movement of blood through vessels, you accelerate healing, especially healing of the vessels. And remember, the whole problem begins because of deterioration of the vessels. This makes glucosamine and glucosamine-like substances very important for protecting the heart. Extremely important. Anti-heart disease when it comes to anti-heart disease nutrition. Again, glucosamine, collagen, bone broth protein, cartilage from bone soup, high hyaluronic acid, and it all depends, by the way, on vitamin C. Vitamin C this is why vitamin C may be so important for the heart. Vitamin C is the rate-limiting step in the building of connective tissue, in the repair of connective tissue. The combination of vitamin C and all of these blood flow improving substances is how you want to protect your heart, among other nutritional strategies, which we will continue talking about here in the coming days. All right, got Kaylin Diggs coming up here in our third segment, so we'll take your calls here this segment. I want to talk to you about this one interesting study I found today. This is from the Journal of Neuroscience. Rhythm of breathing affects memory and fear. Where have you heard this before? Northwestern medicine scientists have discovered for the first time that the rhythm of breathing creates electrical activity in the human brain that enhances emotional judgments and memory recall. Well, if these scientists have discovered this for the first time, they haven't been listening to the bright side, because we've been talking about it for years. How you breathe plays a major role in how you think. How you breathe plays a major role in how you feel. How you breathe plays a major role in how your body shows up. And when I say how you breathe, I'm talking about the rhythm of the breathing. If you breathe with the wrong rhythm, you can mess things up. It turns out that if you breathe with the wrong rhythm, you may actually activate the fear response, the anxiety response. According to Dr. Zolano, I'm not sure where Dr. Zolano is from. Where's Dr. Zolano? Christina Zolano, assistant professor of neurology at Northwestern. She says rapid breathing may confer an advantage when someone is in a dangerous situation. Yes, it does. Rapid breathing can actually wake you up. Rapid shallow breathing activates cortisol, it activates adrenaline. The adrenal glands wake up when we breathe shallow and rapid. That could be a good thing. If you're driving and you're falling asleep, rapid breathing can be a quick way to wake you up. If you're wake up first thing in the morning groggy, same thing. Wake up from a nap groggy. Rapid breathing can wake you up. You just don't want to do it for a long time because you don't want these activated stress hormones. You don't want to activate stress hormones chronically. All right, 844-236-6010. Got Kim on the line from Michigan. Good morning, Kim. What's going on?
Ben, we love you so much. Thank you so much for all you've done for me and my family. And we met you at the Indy event that they had there, and you have helped me. My husband is Dave in the Thumb.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, and I just want to tell you, everything that you have done and said, and you say over and over, people to really listen to you because you really hit it right on the head.
Thank you. That's awesome, Kim. Thank you so much.
I've been working on my issues, for a few years now, and sometimes we kind of get lax, and we know what we're supposed to do.
Sure.
And we kind of, I refer to it kind of like a cutter. Like cutters, people can hurt their feelings. They can do things to us, but you know what a cutter does? They hurt themselves.
Do it to themselves. Yes. You're talking about people who cut themselves.
And I do it, a little stress in our lives, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I know that a piece of pie is going to, mess with me. And I know,
but at least you know the impact that your behaviors have. That's powerful. You can do whatever you want after that, but as long as you know that your lifestyle choices have an impact on how your health shows up. That's powerful, Kim. Whether you do it or not, that's still powerful.
And I just wanted to thank you today.
I appreciate
for all that you do. I love you so much.
Thank you.
All the other people with longevity that have helped our lives so much. And,
thank you. That's awesome.
I really appreciate what you do, and
God
you
bless
really
you.
go above and beyond, and I thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Say hi to Dave. Thank you, Kim.
I really
All
will.
right. Okay, take care. Oh, that was really sweet. That was super sweet. All right, and that's what we do at Longevity, by the way. Longevity is not just a business to sell nutritional supplements. It's a business to change lives. If you are interested in any of these ideas that we're talking about health, about how we can change our lives, how we can change the lives of our friends and family members, and you want to make money, I really recommend that you look into Longevity. Just call 866-735-2470 and ask questions. If you are business-minded, if you're entrepreneurially minded, if you're not, check out the products. Check out the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. If you want to just try one product, try the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. If you're like 99% of people, you're going to notice results, and they'll happen pretty quickly. All right, we got Kaylin Diggs coming up in our next segment. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. All right, I'm very honored and happy to invite to the Bright Side our next guest, Kaylin Diggs, who is the author of a book called Reaching the Finish Line. I met Kaylin, 5 years ago maybe, at an event in Texas, and I was very impressed by his youthful ambition and how he motivated to do what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to write a book, and he did it. It's called Reaching the Finish Line, interestingly enough, and we're going to talk to Kaylin about what exactly that means and what Kaylin's take on good health and wellness is. Please welcome to the Bright Side, Kaylin Diggs. Hey, Kaylin.
Hey, Ben. Thank you for having me.
Good to talk to you, buddy. After all of these years, you had me on your show about a month ago, and welcome to the Bright Side. So, tell me.
Happy to be on.
Thank you, Kaylin. So, what exactly is the finish line? What does that mean, reaching the finish line?
For sure. So, the finish line is different for everyone. And, I wrote the book specifically kind of with a self-help and financial kind of tangent. And a lot of people simply do not reach the finish line because they have a lot of things that's preventing them from doing so. So perhaps maybe they want to have a very successful business, or maybe they want to be an executive for maybe a Fortune 500 company, or perhaps maybe they want to be able to become a better person, so they become a better father to their family and a better friend to someone. So the finish line is there for everyone, but I want to help people to get there, and that's what inspired me to write the book.
What keeps people, in your opinion, in your experience, what keeps people from reaching the finish line?
For sure. So one thing often I say is a person's peer group. So you hear the adage that birds of the same feather flock together, and oftentimes a lot of people, they have these negative influences that are preventing them from reaching the finish line. If you have friends that are or family that are disempowering, well, that's not going to help you towards your end goal. Another thing is people, they lack discipline. Really, if a person is lazy, if they lack the work ethic, then it's going to be hard to be able to reach the finish line. And what it really takes is you have to really have a one-on-one conversation with yourself and ask yourself, how bad do you really want it? You can't just talk it. It has to be dictated by your actions.
So here, you use the word discipline, and I hate that word, by the way, and I have no discipline, but what exactly do you do if, everybody knows you're supposed to have discipline, but what do you do if you don't have discipline, but you still want to reach the finish line? Can you talk yourself into having discipline?
That's a great question. Now, you can definitely have an accountability partner. That's one way. Another way is there are sites like stick.com, and where, for example, you'll set a goal. You'll say, I'm going to file my articles of corporation. I'm going to start a business, and I'm going to have a social media account and those factors. And if I don't do that by next month, then I'll give $200 to a cause that I don't like or I don't approve of. So, there's different ways.
You can motivate yourself,
with accountability. You can either have someone in your life to hold you accountable, or if you don't think anyone will hold you accountable, you can definitely resort to a resource like stick.com.
What is stick.com exactly?
Great. So stick.com is you set this goal. Okay, so it could be any goal you want, but basically what it is you're putting money where your mouth is. Okay, so if you don't follow through on your goal, that money goes to a cause or a person that you don't like.
Got it. Stick.com, like stick to your project kind of thing.
Yes, STIXX.com.
Say it one more time, Kalen.
Stick.com, STIXX.com.
STIXX.com. Okay, that's kind of interesting. All right, so why a book? What was the goal with the book? Did you just want to get your ideas down? Did you you want to share your ideas? You want to make money? What's the deal? Not everybody motivated.
Sure,
lots of people have ideas.
Nowadays, if a person thinking that if they want to write a book to make millions of dollars, it's nothing more than it's just a fallacy. I wrote the book because people, I've done this prior to writing a book and some of my work experiences as a career consultant, and a lot of people ask me the same question over and over again. So I thought, well, just to all this, it would just be better to take experiences, write it in a book, so it can serve as a comprehensive resource for everyone who wants access to it.
Kalen, are you on a cell phone, buddy? You're cutting in and out there. I don't know if you're in a bad place, but just stay still. We only got a couple more minutes here. What was your when you were writing the book? What was your finish line goal aside from obviously the book? But did you have finish line goals yourself?
For sure, and that's a great question, Ben. And often, in the way I my goals was on pass or fail model, which is often was the worst way to set goals because you're setting yourself up to fail. So I created can find the book to the finish line. It's called the 3M metric, and it's basically you're setting parallel goals. So it's like you're setting yourself up to win. An example, let's take weight loss. As it's quite relevant for your show. If a person, so on a pass or fail model, a person may say, I want to lose 30 pounds next month. And if they lose 30 pounds next month, they pass. And if they don't, they fail. And oftentimes, a lot of people, unfortunately, they fail. And when it constantly set goals on a pass or fail model repetitively, they often set themselves up for failure, they get depressed, and they don't want to set goals anymore. So I tell people, well, let's set yourself up to win. So let's take that same weight loss example. So the metric is minimum, moderate, and max. Absolutely what you believe you can achieve. The moderate is a realistic goal that you can believe you can achieve. And a maximum goal would be if you achieve that goal, it would surprise you. So if we took that same example that person would say, well, I want to lose 30 pounds in 3 months. That'll be their minimum goal. Or a person may say, I want to lose 30 pounds in 2 months, and that will be their moderate goal. Or they may say, my maximum goal is I want to lose 30 pounds in 1 month. Now, Ben, all you have to do is achieve one of those metrics.
Yeah.
And as long as you do that, that sets set themselves up for success.
So in other words, if you just achieve 3 pounds, you're successful, whereas the other way with your pass-fail model, that would have been a failure, and you would have been depressed, and you wouldn't even want to try again. That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't recommend a pass-or-fail model.
But, what did you call it, the 3M modle? The 3M model?
3M metric.
I like that, the 3M metric. All right, cool. So they're actually, the bottom line here, what I'm hearing you say, Callan, is that having goals and setting goals and achieving goals is not something you do randomly, that there's kind of a system, there's a strategy for how to achieve a goal effectively, correct?
For sure. They should systematize it if they want to be successful.
And that's what the book is about, the strategies for achieving goals.
Absolutely. And it also has some ideas on how people, they can transform and, change careers and have some more successful in their career and whatever that is.
All right. So the book is called Reaching the Finish Line. How do people get it?
For sure. They can go to reachingthefinishline.com. The book is on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and all that. But what I'll do for your listeners, Ben, if they go to reachingthefinishline.com and buy the book, not only will I give them the book, but they will also get a free 1-month subscription to my free 1-month premium radio subscription. All you have to do is once they check out to my website, just say that they heard the episode, they heard the interview on the Bright Side, and I'll make sure they get the free 1-month premium radio subscription at reachingthefinishline.com.
How do people get the radio show if they want to just get the radio show?
For sure. They'll also get that at reachingthefinishline.com.
Just reachingthefinishline.com. And do you do any personal stuff? Do you do any personal coaching or anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. I have products and services there. I have blog posts. I have my products and services there, and and it's also a community, and we're I'm happy to connect with everyone, and so I'll be happy to connect with people at reachingthefinishline.com.
Reachingthefinishline.com. Callan Diggs. Hey, Callan, thanks so much, buddy. Appreciate it.
Ben, thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
All right, take care, man. We'll talk again soon. That's Callan Diggs, reachingthefinishline.com, strategies for achieving goals. That's what we're about here on The Bright Side. We want to make you better. We want to up your game in all manners, not just in terms of health and nutrition, but in life. That's why we call this program The Bright Side. Thanks for listening, friends. Have a wonderful, beautiful, spectacular day. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll talk to you all later. Bye for now.